questions?
Yeah. Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
A brain, a beauty, a jock, a rebel, and a recluse.
Dear Mr. Sullivan, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Tuesday evening in podcasting for whatever it was we did wrong. But we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you who we think we are. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms and the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is an idiot that went to film school. An idiot that went to film school. And an idiot that went to film school. Does that answer your question? Hi, welcome to Bomb Squad Matinee. I am your host and master of ceremony, Tanner Richard Kraft, and I am today joined by...
Rein Conversey.
And making her debut as a proper member of the team instead of a guest...
Sydney Russell.
Woo! That's right, as I'm sure you've seen on our social media posts, which will have hopefully gone up by the time this episode is out. Sydney's a member of the team now. We're expanding. We're going big. We're bigly. Bigly. Trump rule on the word bigly. Yeah, today we're talking about The Breakfast Club, John Hughes 1985 classic, in my opinion. Somewhat controversial in the modern age. I feel like it's aged weirdly in the last 10 years or so, but I'm sure we'll have plenty of things to say about that. But before we get into that, we have our classic warm-up question. Favorite high school movie? I almost did favorite coming-of-age movie, but I'm pretty sure I did that one before. So, favorite high school movie, Mr. Conversey, go.
Yeah. I have some notes this episode, which is an achievement for good, but not great notes. But we'll see how this goes. So I don't know why we're talking so much about high schoolers about the Breakfast Club podcast. I think that's kind of weird. I don't know why, like, a movie, like, we're focused on movies, and we have a podcast, but I don't know why we're doing a podcast about a podcast.
Okay, I get the joke now.
But anyway, it's a very tough choice to make, considering, like, stories about adolescence. It's probably, like, it's arguably, like, the most covered, like, age group in modern media. More than adulthood, old age, even, like, being a college student.
Wants to fucking grow up.
Yeah, I don't know, this is really tough for me. It's like a kind of arguably like a 6 or 7 way tie for me. But like, I don't know, so in case, I don't know, so I was thinking, like, either Superbad, Donnie Darko. I'm afraid Donnie Darko is one of those movies where half of these I haven't seen since high school. I'm afraid it doesn't hold up, but I choose to believe it's just as good as it was when I last saw it at like 17. Bad Genius, one of my favorite heist movies ever. Dazed and Confused. I haven't seen it since high school, but I refuse to believe it's not as amazing as it was in high school.
It's aged well. I've seen that one recently. It's aged well, I promise.
Great. Coolie High. Maybe the most obscure one on this list, but just as good. And then 10 Things I Hate About You, my favorite rom-com.
Yes!
So good. I think I have to go with Superbad. Even though maybe in some of the same ways, not to the same degree, maybe has not aged as well. Well, it definitely hasn't aged as well in some respects, but I feel like it's the choice I have to make between the ones I mentioned, because it is definitely, like, in a lot of ways, the most closest to, like, my high school experience, like, just, like, in terms of the dialogue, the sense of humor, and just, like, day-to-day existence, how it feels. Other than, I guess, like, the fucked upness of the main premise of, like, their adventure. It's a surprisingly pretty heartfelt movie. I'm realizing the downside of talking about 6 or 7 other movies is I'm struggling to have anything in depth to say about any of them individually. But hey, I casted a wide net. Pros and cons, maybe, I don't know. Back to you, Tanner.
Great stuff. You stole at least 7 of my answers, so thank you very much. I have a very unique answer in mind. Trust me. Sydney,
High School Musical too.
You were in high school the most recently out of us 3, I think.
Yeah, I think I was.
So
not by a crazy amount. Not by a crazy amount. We were in high school. You
graduated high school a year after me. That's practically a century. What's your favorite high school movie?
This is a really hard question, actually. I mean, it's for the same reason that Rein said, of, like, there are a lot of movies that at least a good portion take place predominantly in a high school. So it's very hard I was trying to think about movies that were like about high school, not just with the backdrop of high school, but it's kind of hard unless you're thinking High School Musical or High School Musical 2, the superior one. Or High School Musical 3, which I've only seen one time and I don't remember. But I don't know, I racked my brain a lot about this, and some that came to mind were, well, one that came to mind like the most instantly was Heathers. It's not a it's a movie about high schoolers, and there are scenes in high school, and there's a pretty climactic scene at the high school, but it's also not a specifically about high school movie. But I will say a recent one that I saw that is filmed pretty much entirely at a high school, apart for a few moments, is I saw Brick recently, and I was lucky enough to see it with Rian Johnson in attendance.
I'm not jealous.
He gave a Q&A
I'm not jealous.
afterwards.
I'm not mad. I'm not jealous.
And I had never seen it before, and I was really excited because I went into it, I saw it on a 35mm print at, shout out to the Music Box Theater in Chicago, which is, yeah, a great place. But that is like a really fun, kind of a dude's rock movie, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like a noir detective, but he's like a hot boy that all the girls are like, you're so cute. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, I could hate this, but I don't. Like, I love this because everything is just working out perfectly well. And it was shot at Rian Johnson's actual high school. And so much of it is used so well in the I like, the reason I say this might be my favorite high school movie is because I feel like the high school is almost a character, and that there are so many scenes that are filmed using this high school in a creative way. Like, so many chase scenes, so many climactic, I keep saying that word, so many scenes where big plot moments happen and it's a big deal, and you're like, wow, this high school looks crazy. I don't know, that was not anything like my high school experience at all, but I did enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. The plot of Brick happened to me. I don't know why I'm saying that. That's a bad joke.
Wow.
No.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That's a terrible.
Actually, the plot of the high school movie that the plot actually happened to me of was the 2012 movie Chronicle. That movie was based off of my life. I've killed 7 people. I'm the Dane DeHaan character in that movie, actually.
Wow. Yeah, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot
wow.
being official member of the Bomb Squad
all the
Productions.
murders I've committed.
At least having
the lives I've ruined. So I'm just going to lead it off right off the bat. Sydney actually brought it up. I was legitimately, for a long time, considering saying High School Musical 2 as my answer. Not kidding. I fucking love High School Musical 2. The first one is fine. The third one is pretty good. High School Musical 2 is a masterpiece. There's a part, the Corbin Blue, and then they switch the outfit. Gay shit, it's great. There's
it's not even like at high school at all, though. It's not even like at high school. They're on
You're
like a fun
at a country club. It doesn't count. There were some other answers I considered that were very me answers. I considered saying American Pie because Blink-182 is in it. I'm gonna be honest, that's the primary reason. Bring It On.
I was about to say.
Maybe the best cheerleading movie ever. That's a really great movie. I also considered Donnie Darko. I considered a more recent movie like Dope, which is maybe only tangentially about high school, but it's in part about wanting to get into college, and I think more people should watch Dope, even though the lead actor of that movie, apparently, Shamik Moore, the things I've learned. This is a hard one. I'm totally not looking at the Rotten Tomatoes page for high school movies ranked to try and narrow it down. I'm not doing that right now, I swear.
That'd be really embarrassing for the person who made the question.
Shut up! Leave me alone. I had a long day at work. Things kept breaking. You already said Dazed and Confused. You know what?
I didn't talk much about it, though.
You know what?
So.
Fuck it. Final answer. Lady Bird. Great movie.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love Lady Bird. Greta Gerwig's a great director. It's such a shame that apparently she's not making another movie anytime soon. I haven't heard anything about any Narnia movie. I don't know what you're talking about. That's made up. She's making Little Women 2, Bigger Women, as far as I'm concerned.
God, I wish. I want her to do that so bad. I want her to make Little Men.
Sorry, I just love Little Women 2, Bigger Women. I just, actually, I think she should just work with Bob Odenkirk again. That's great. In all seriousness, though, the reason why I'm having trouble really nailing down an answer is because my actual favorite high school movie is The Breakfast Club. I have my Criterion copy right here. I fucking adore this movie. I watched it last night on my Criterion Blu-ray. Which, that means I really love it, because if other people are anything like me, my Criterions are more decorations than actual things. I put on a Blu-ray player nowadays. Really telling on myself there.
Isn't that everyone's Criterion collection?
Yeah, as far as I know, they're just decorations, and I just watch movies on the Criterion channel.
Yeah.
The Blu-rays are for decoration. We're talking about The Breakfast Club, John Hughes' 1985 classic, arguably his best movie, though he has some real heavy hitters. Let me tell you. Gone too soon at 59. Don't know why I'm bringing that up. The Breakfast Club is a classic, and we're very excited to talk about it today with our overall thoughts on The Breakfast Club. Who am I going to start with? Sydney, I'm starting with you. What are your overall thoughts on The Breakfast Club?
Okay. I'm gonna preface this.
Oh boy.
I don't like to be a hater. I'm not one of those people that is like, ooh, you want to hear my bad opinions so bad? You like this movie? Well, I don't. Because I don't dislike this movie. I don't. In fact, throughout a lot of my childhood, I was raised by Gen X parents who I feel are very akin to this type of movie and probably felt very seen. I mean, I know my dad and stepmom definitely.
My mom talks about John Hughes like he's God.
Yeah, it is very much a cultural touchstone, and I respect it. And I want to start by saying things that I really like about this movie, because I don't want people to walk away from this thinking I absolutely hate it. Because I accept its place in the cinematic canon, and I respect it as a piece of work, and I respect John Hughes, and I like the Brat Pack to varying degrees, depending on who we're talking about.
Rob Lowe. No, I'm kidding. I'm not doing that to you.
Rob Lowe, I do like him. I do. He's, yeah. Yeah. Let me rank all of them. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I'll start. What I think, and this is probably nothing new here, not like people have said this before, because this is a classic that people will die for. Obviously, what I think John Hughes excelled at was writing dialogue that was realistically melodramatic for teenagers. Without ever making it seem like they were the butts of the joke. I mean, because there are moments in this movie where I'm like, God, these kids act like fucking teenagers, where they're just like, yeah, my life's hard, if you even care. And I'm like, oh, but then I'm like, oh, but that's what kids are like, like that is, so that is something that I really respect, because I feel like with most adolescent things, they are either hyper adult, where they are not anything remotely like teenagers, and they are aged up and hypersexualized and all this stuff, or they're dumbed down to absolute babies. And I think that this manages to take young people seriously and make them feel heard without infantilizing them or, trying to pander to them in a specific way. Like it is a very authentic thing, and weirdly enough, the scenes I like most from this movie are the ones that involve Vernon, the teacher, being like, I'm scared that these are the kids that are going to grow up and take care of me. Like, they are going to be the leaders of America, because now we're living in a country where, yeah, that's what happened. They're the ones taking care of us, and they raised us. And
boy, was Vernon right about Gen X. We're just getting that right out there.
Oh,
boy,
yeah.
Was he right about Gen X.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
Much
honest.
love and respect to my parents, but boy, was he right.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't. I'll save that. I'll save my political talk for general discussion. Never mind. Continue.
Okay, I will say, as much as I used to like this movie growing up, I did finish it about 5 minutes before hopping on to this recording, and I didn't quite love it as much this time. And when I say that, I mean that in the most subjective way, because I don't think that there were any changes that really could have been made that would make this like objectively better or worse. Like, I think it is objectively like perfect is a strong word, but I think objectively, like, it is a perfect encapsulation of what it was setting out to do. And I don't think that there's anything really that could have changed that. I think how people react to it is pretty subjective and reflective of where they are in their lives. Because I think that he mission accomplished with this movie. I mean, what I liked a lot is that it introduces the characters and you know pretty much everything about them within the first parental exchanges or lack thereof. Like, you see their interactions with their parents and you're like, okay, I get an idea of these people. However, one might argue that they're a little bit two-dimensional. One might. But maybe that's the point. I think you either really love John Hughes or you don't. Personally, I found it really off-putting just how mean-spirited this movie kind of is. Like, wow, they are very, very mean. Constantly. And I don't know if this was a hyper-stylized representation of what it was like to be a high schooler in 1984, or if kids really were just this fucking mean. I think it's kind of a mix of both. I personally did not ever experience anything like this. I did not go to detention. In fact, I went to Catholic school, so our detention was called JUG, or Judgment Under God, and it did not involve.
They called it Jug? That's fucking hilarious.
Judgment Under God, and I guarantee you, it did not have. I didn't go. I was a goody two shoes, but I guarantee you, it did not have any teachers saying, "Just punch me just once," like, just, you know, you're a gutless turd, like. You know, and that's where the humor comes in. I don't know. I'm not articulating my point. I didn't like it as much as I remembered liking it growing up, and I think it's a lot about how I look back on the generation that raised me, and maybe that's a bias that I have against it, but it's just an interesting cultural relic. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it's not one that I'm personally like, that's the one. Anyway.
Great stuff. No, I totally get it. I'll get into this more when I talk about my thoughts, but I mean, I still love the movie. This most recent viewing has been colored by, I think, recent contextualization of Generation X in general for me. But I'll get more into that probably in general discussion, same as Rein, because it's a collection of thoughts. I don't have it really crystallized yet. Rein.
Yeah.
Dressing up like Bender, I'm assuming you 100% endorse Bender's actions in this movie and think he's 100% in the right in everything he did. Since you're dressed up like that, right?
Well, when you put it like that, I'll be back in. Give me 2 seconds.
He's gonna come back looking like Allison at the end of the movie. He's gonna have like the full makeover.
Which, don't get me started on that.
Oh, that part is the one part. Even when
oh my god,
even the first time I watched that movie, I was like, I what the fuck is going on here?
I had
You're
multiple.
kind of more giving.
Hold on, did you actually?
I had multiple outfits, you fools.
We were
You are kind of giving
joking about
BBC Sherlock
you coming back like her after the makeover. I didn't think you were gonna pull up at her drip though. That's crazy.
Yeah, I had perks of dating a goth girl. I can. Anyway,
He has a wrestling outfit on under that thing.
You think I'm done?
Now,
I'm mostly done.
If you kept coming out with different outfits, I'd be really impressed.
This would be this is the type of shit I usually do. Usually I change outfits for a joke.
I felt the opportunity came to me, and also, to be honest, I'm gonna get into it. This is maybe going to be one of the hardest movies for me to talk about. Not in the sense of like, like it's one of those like when I wasn't on the Raiders podcast, but like whenever I think about movies that are just like too classic to really where it's just like it's what the fuck can you really say about it? That's kind of how I feel about this one. Especially because it's like, you know, in the decade since it's become like basically like a blueprint movie for like so many movies about adolescence. It's like how like every Superman movie that since the original Dawn Superman movie is in some way like a response to that movie, where it's like with Zack Snyder's like, oh, we're kind of like we're not your granddad's Superman, or James Gunn's like, hey, we're kind of embracing it. And same with Superman Returns. With like most high school movies, I feel like a lot of them are kind of in the same way, where it's like this is our take on Breakfast Club.
It's not just like other high school movies, mind you, Rein. I saw this in the Wikipedia page last night for this movie, and I've been laughing about it ever fucking since. This is my perfect chance to bring it up.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, Sebastian Stan described the superhero film Thunderbolts as the Breakfast Club of Marvel. What the fuck does that mean? I'm still on board the Marvel train, and I'm reading that like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
I mean, clearly, yeah, it's not shocking. What I don't know. I think it makes sense.
It's like a cheat code saying I'm the Breakfast Club of X. You're like it's like a cheat code that makes men in their 40s start drooling. I guess in their 50s now. Love you, Dad. This is not about you, Dad. If you watch this, parents watch this sometimes. Let you be careful. You are the good Gen Xers.
Yeah. The point is, I don't know, what can you really say about it? It's just like, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, I mean, it's, I like it, but I don't, it's just such a classic story that, like, I just don't know what to fucking say about it. I think a good thing I have these costumes to, like, change things up. But, I don't know. I guess just like my scattered thoughts on this viewing. This is my first viewing of it since I was a high schooler, which was interesting. Also, really weird story. So I'm living in LA from St. Louis. Last weekend, some friends of mine, or a friend of mine who I went to high school with, who lives out here, reached out to me. Is like, hey, a bunch of like 5 or so other people who went to our high school who live out in LA, we're having a picnic this weekend. So I ended up going to it. I was, and it was very surreal because like half of them I kind of talked to in high school, half of them I literally never spoke to. It like there was like some people's like, oh, I've known you since elementary school, and this like picnic outing is the most I've ever talked to you ever. So that kind of added to it, kind of like just making in the background me thinking about high school a lot. I think something also that added to my experience was afterwards, when I was like reading reviews and stuff, Molly Ringwald, she did a really good
I was gonna bring up that article. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good companion piece, especially if you're one of the very understandably one of the many people who are just kind of like, oh fuck, like when it came to all like the sexual attitudes towards this movie, and like its idea of like, you know, what appropriate ways to shit on people and to treat women and all that. Of course, I guess it's, I don't know, like how, I don't know, it's an interesting discussion, like how far does the whole, hey, it's true to the experience, like how true that is, or like how good that is as a critical justification. Because teenagers being this mean, definitely not as mean in my high school experience. Reminds me of like the 21 Jump Street bit where like they come into the high school and they're like dicks and everyone's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I feel like it's the difference between like but I can definitely buy like this is like probably wasn't that exaggerated for a story about Gen X teenagers. I don't know. I do think this and Ferris Bueller are the only John Hughes movies I've actually seen. I don't know, for all the faults the guy has, I do think it's wait, no, I've also seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and also probably some other
Thank
things.
God, I was about to start freaking the fuck out.
Okay, when it comes to like his classic high school movies, those are the only two I've seen. I've seen, you know, Family Vacation or whatever. But
What was the other one that you hadn't seen? That you had seen, I mean?
Ferris Bueller, that's the only other one
Oh,
I've seen.
Funny enough, they filmed those movies at like these movies were filmed at like the same time.
That's interesting. I don't know, yeah, my thoughts are very scattered right now. Let me see what else I got. Oh yeah, what I was going to say about him is for all his like faults, not thoughts. For all of his faults, you know, especially like the way he, you know, his treatment of class, treatment of race, gender, all that stuff. It seems like the vibe I got is like what really made him special. Like when it came to his story about adolescence, is he was one of like the first big directors to really treat high schoolers with humanity, and I can definitely see that here. As imperfect as that humanity is, he definitely there is I think there is a sympathy given to everyone, even if pretty imperfect. Also, yeah, I guess tying into that, I do think a missed opportunity is like, you can argue maybe there's like some class stuff going on, but otherwise I think kind of just ignoring how, you know, ethnic background and gender and all the other ways that not just like your social clique, how that factors in. I think that was a missed opportunity. I obviously understand why it's moved from the 80s, made by why am I blanking on the name of them? I'm so horrible with fucking names. Why can I not? The director, John Hughes. This is very embarrassing.
You even just said his name.
Yeah, no, well, anyone who's seen this podcast knows I have like a disturbingly bad memory when it comes to the names of anything or anyone.
Rein,
but
what's my name?
Donnie. Anyway, so I think two random thoughts, nothing really critical or deep here, but I think it was interesting. I forgot how Bender was basically like the main character, like the most closest to like a main character. I remember it being like a very even ensemble, my first viewing. Also don't remember him being nearly as creepy, other than like I don't know, that was a disappointing shock, because I remember, you know, he's the cool one when I was like, you know, 16 or whatever watching this. And other than like the table thing, I didn't remember him being very egregious besides that. Also, one other thing, just like a kind of interesting tidbit. I think it's interesting how like every character, every two characters, like there's like an interesting relationship, or at least something you can describe. But I noticed how it's interesting how Bender and Goth Girl, I'm blanking on her name, how those like the only two that don't really have any interactions. I have nothing there. I just thought that was kind of odd how like every other two characters you can like describe like their relationship, but for those two it's like nothing. They like never interact. And that is,
I feel like, you're talking about Ali Sheedy?
Yeah.
Like the goth
Yeah,
baddie?
Allison, the
Allison,
one you're dressed
yeah.
up as right now.
I arguably would say that they would get relatively along. Like,
yeah, I assume that's
they're
why.
kind of part of a similar subculture, and that's, yeah.
Yeah, because in my high school experience, like those two groups would be like, are kind of the same. Like, I guess she's probably too weird. Like, Bender's friends would probably think Allison's just too weird to hang with, maybe. Like, but like not, I don't know, too autistic coded. I don't know, but I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I will bring it over to Tanner. And while Tanner's doing that, I need a change.
Go piss, girl. All right, my time to shine. Hello. This movie is unproblematic. My unproblematic king. Obviously, this movie is problematic. I will dive more into that in my general discussion, probably. Which one is he? God damn. That's pretty good.
Thanks.
You should dress up as the Breakfast Club for Halloween. Like, just start taking your clothes off throughout the night, you know?
Yeah.
Not like get naked, but, you know.
At a party and, like, talking with friends, and like, hey, hold on a minute. Run to the bathroom, change. 5 minutes.
You have a backpack on you the whole time. Everyone's like, what's in the backpack? And you go, don't worry about it. I love The Breakfast Club. Despite its many flaws. It is very flawed. I won't deny that. But I suck at viewing movies through a quote-unquote objective lens. Everything is very colored by my personal experience. And my personal experience of this movie will forever be colored by the fact I first watched it when I was like fucking 15. My memory of watching it at 15 is always going to be at the forefront of my mind, and what this movie meant to me as a teenager. Is also what you guys were kind of saying this, what makes John Hughes stand out as a teenager. To this day, I can't think of another filmmaker or film writer that understands teenagers at their spirit, like their core, like Hughes has. I've seen other movies that have captured it, but there's something particular about Hughes and his work and how it captured the teenage experience. It makes parts of these movies age incredibly well. There is still a kernel of truth to The Breakfast Club. I only ever went to detention once. It's probably going to be my only chance to tell this story. The reason I went to detention, when I was in middle school, my go-to thing when I had a crush on someone was to write them love letters. And there was this one girl I wrote a couple love letters to, and they got in talk with the school counselor, and the counselor said, Tanner, just give it a month. Just stop writing the letters for a month. And I think when she told me that, her assumption was this child will get bored when he doesn't do it for a month and not remember. What she forgot to account for is my autistic ass immediately put the date down on my calendar as the day I'm allowed to write a letter again. I got in trouble. Oops. And that's the one time I got detention. I didn't pull a gun in my locker. I didn't say any slurs. I didn't glue butts together. I didn't just show up for the fun of it. I didn't go shopping during when I was supposed to be at class. I wrote a love letter. It's the funniest fucking detention ever. It was the 8th grade. And I obviously don't necessarily identify with any of these characters in particular. I guess Rein is the one that reminds me the most of myself. But honestly, I see myself in all of them in a way. How problematic that is depends on your views of Bender. It's almost difficult to put into words for the same reason that Rein brought up. It's like some movies are just so iconic, so legacy defining. It's difficult to talk about because you're like, well, anything I can say about it is the most obvious fucking thing ever because it's so iconic and important for a reason. But that's not going to stop me from trying here. I really should start writing my thoughts down before I do this. I love The Breakfast Club. I think all the performances across the board are great. Something that really stood out to me on this viewing was every time it cut to Mr. Vernon and his whole subplot, as he's just fucking kids these days, they're bitches, they're losers, they're idiots, they're gonna kill us all. And the janitor's like, no, I think the kids were always like this, man. I think you're just growing up. I think that's true. As I've gotten older, I look to the kids at my sister's age, who's 10 years younger than me, and I look at them and I'm thinking, and sometimes I instinctually think off the bat, oh God, the world is fucked. And then I think, oh no, wait, I did a lot of this stupid shit when I was a teenager. Oh my God, when I was a teenager and the most minor inconvenience happened to me, I was like, the world is ending. Now when the most mild inconvenience happened to me, I just say, I'm going to kill myself, and then I quickly move on. So, character growth. And there's a lot of that that's... The Breakfast Club, it just perfectly captures being a teenager. And something I really appreciate about it is it kind of perfectly encapsulates those inter-clique dynamics. When I went to high school, I wasn't that aware of it, but I was aware of the fact that they were cliques. The interesting thing about me in high school is I wasn't really in any one clique, but I was friends with people from every clique. I like to say that I was a popular kid in high school that didn't realize he was popular when he was in high school. That is legitimately what happened to me. But because of that, I would see the way the cliques would interact with each other and this sort of peer pressure we put on each other. because that's the thing about being a teenager. It's not just the adults telling you what to be; it's your fucking friends telling you what to be, and that can really suck. And this movie, I think, captures it perfectly. I'm kind of going off the rails a bit here, so you know what? I'm going to transition us to our ad break so we can get into some general discussion where I will have some more things to say. But I want it to be more of an open discussion about the things in this movie that haven't aged well. So we'll see you in a minute.
All right.
Whoop.
Don't you forget about me.
Welcome back from that commercial break for another commercial. See that shit that my fan is fucking blocking? You see that shit right there? That's a movie palette. What it basically does is it takes the primary color of every frame of a movie, chops it up into these little slices, and turns it into a singular art piece for you to enjoy in your living room. It fits in both minimalist setups, which my apartment is not, and maximalist setups, which my apartment definitely is. I have 3,000 Funko Pops. So you can go to moviepalette.com. I do not have 3,000, Sydney. That was a joke. That was an exaggeration.
Yeah, but
I saw like a look of horror in your eyes.
I was like, wow, I didn't miss your money bags.
Yeah. Why do you think I had $10,000 in credit card debt? No. You go to moviepalette.com. You can get one for The Breakfast Club or some other movie you love. And if they don't have it on their website, you can make one of your own for a little extra money. But before you check out, enter the code SQUAD15 to save 15% on your order. Now back to the show. All right. Every time I watch this movie, I forget about the panty shot, and it hits me like a fucking freight train every single goddamn time. Because I'll just be watching it, and it'll cut to a, honestly, very awkward-looking shot under a woman's skirt, and I'm just like, whoa, what happened here? Where how did we get here? I'm so scared and confused. And that, I think, kind of encapsulates a lot of it. You guys were saying it before. It's so easy to forget how fucking mean Bender is. He spends 90% of this movie's runtime sexually harassing Claire, and then he gets the girl at the end. Very 80s. Let us discuss.
Dated.
Very dated. Oh my god. It's that Molly Ringwald article Rein brought up, I think, encapsulates a lot of my feelings about it.
Yeah.
If I may, I think I hear a lot of people say, oh, they couldn't make this today. And I think there are a variety of reasons for that. I mean, one, because people would watch it and say, they already made this movie. It's called The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, what the fuck? You couldn't make Blazing Saddles today. Most of the cast and crew were dead.
We're dead. But in all seriousness, I think there are a variety of reasons why that is true. And I think that is, one, because of just how filmmaking in Hollywood filmmaking specifically is functioning at this moment in time. The script has a lot of functioning. This script has a lot of breathing room. Like there are moments that nowadays, even though it's still a nice breezy 95-minute movie, I feel like there are a lot of things that they would probably not want to cut, but they would somehow figure out more plot to make the runtime 2.5 hours. But they would cut more of these small details that really help us feel like these characters are real people. Because I think that's what films of the past did pretty well. It's like, okay, maybe this isn't necessary for the plot, but it makes it feel more lived in. It gives a better mise en scène overall. I mean,
movies aren't plot delivery vehicles, goddammit.
That. But also another reason why I think this movie couldn't be made today. Oh, they couldn't make this movie today. Gen Z. I'm technically Gen Z. I'm an elder Gen Z. I think we all kind of border on that.
Everyone in the Bomb Squad is either a young millennial or a very old Gen Z.
Yeah, Zillennial, or whatever you'd call it.
Yeah, Zillennial vibes. Subculture as we know it is not prevalent. There's not really as much of a counterculture anymore. And I think there are things like that are obvious explanations, like TikTok kind of, I mean, you could, I'm not in high school anymore, but I can imagine that you could go up to the coolest, most popular pretty girl in school and she's gonna know who Cocteau Twins are because of like TikTok, like a band that would have been like kind of alternative and not known 10 years ago. Like, the coolest girl listens to Mazzy Star, you know? Like, it's just not really a thing anymore where that's for the weird kids. It's like, we're fueled now by nostalgia so much that it's kind of hard to imagine, like, making a film where everyone is so clear cut into their culture, like the pretty popular girl, the weird girl, the jock, the nerd. Like, everyone is. I also feel like there's just more general empathy overall, but maybe that's wishful thinking, that these kids wouldn't be like laughing because a kid's gun went off in his locker after he was trying to kill himself. Like, I feel like nowadays there's just mental health resources are so widely known and available that people would be giving that so much grace and attention.
Or, you know, they really wouldn't want to make fun of them because it's like, oh God, what if they turn the gun around?
Well, you know, that would be the thing that that is a great point, because now you hear a kid brings a gun to school and your thoughts are,
yeah,
no, same.
Me?
I think, oh God,
Everyone else?
school shooting.
Yeah, and that is a very big cultural difference that was not a thing at all. I mean, it was a thing, but not to the extent it is now, where that's
it's pre-Columbine.
first...
I mean, anything pre-Columbine, it's not really like a, you know,
the thought in anyone's head.
So it's like, it's just very. Plus, there are just so many, like, I feel like kids are just more self-aware because of. I hate to sound like a boomer here, but like, we're being surveilled all the time, as in kids are posting on social media all the time, and they're faced with a jury of their peers literally all the time. So I feel like everyone is so hyper aware of how they're presenting all the time that no kid would go into this and be like, yeah, I have problems too, but you don't even know, because it's just like, I feel like everyone is just so like aware of each other and aware of how they're presenting that it's not really as much of a thing anymore.
Hey, look at this TikTok that describes all my problems perfectly. You know, what you just said reminded me of a 4chan post. This is going somewhere positive, I think, I swear. There's something, you know, nowadays you'd have the 4chaner, the Redditor, the Tumblrina, whatever the fuck they called them back in the day.
When we were
if this was 2014. Yeah, we were in high school.
When I was in high school, the click was what website you spent the most time on. In high school, I spent the most time on Tumblr, which says a lot about me as a person. I met my ex-fiance on Tumblr. I'm the only person to use that app as a dating. Oh, the whole thing.
I've never heard anyone have that experience before, though. I did have a friend who met their long-term partner on Omegle. So.
Oh, I know someone like that too. Yeah. Anyway.
4chan.
There's a 4chan post. The internet has ruined the world, and here's why. There's a couple of reasons. One, you know, it's not just that like kids are constantly ghosting on social media, so they always feel the need to present themselves. I feel like people are so disrespectful of other people's privacies nowadays that they'll point a camera at fucking anything to post it, so you could be recorded at any moment without your consent. That's a big problem. That ties in what you're saying. The 4chan post. There was a 4chan post that goes something like, in the 1980s, be a teenager, want to fuck a toaster, realize how stupid that is, don't ruin your life. And nowadays it's be a teenager, want to fuck a toaster, find a community of 500 people online that also want to fuck toasters, ruin your life. I forgot why I was bringing that up. I'm going to be honest. I had a point there, but now it's just there's a 4chan post I'm aware of that of people fucking toasters. So do with that information what you will, audience. I had a point there and I forgot it.
Oh, I get what you mean, because it's like these kids in the 80s, in a way it's sad because they were a lot more isolated. If they had a weird thought, they couldn't go online and be like, oh, I'm not alone in this. But then at the same time, it kind of makes real life person-to-person connection and communication a bit more difficult, because these kids wouldn't be in a situation where they're like interacting with different people like in person as frequently. You know, like they don't feel, they don't connect over their mutual isolation in person as much.
They collect over their favorite YouTubers. And you know, another thing nowadays, you bring this up about how there's not really subculture anymore, which I do think is true, but there's also like not really monoculture anymore. There's not, like, monoculture as a concept is dead. what do we all like universally know about?
Yeah.
Taylor
Marvel?
Swift, Marvel,
The Super Bowl?
the Super Bowl, yeah, the Super Bowl, like, which is
You
also
guys
in a
watch
way
the
just
Super
Taylor
Bowl?
Swift at this point. We don't
You know
really
what?
have monoculture. We don't really have subculture. Like, I feel like all it is nowadays is that there's like 50 billion micro communities available, and you pick your like couple hundred micro communities you identify with,
Mhm.
and that's your thing. Like, there's not really a subculture in which, oh, if you're a punk, you look like this. That was generally true in the 80s and 90s. If you're into grunge, you look like this. If you're into Fred Durst, I don't know if I specify Fred Durst, but if you're into Fred Durst, you look like
You
this
wear
with the back-
Jinkos.
You wear Jinkos. Nowadays, it's like you can't like. Obviously, these characters are stereotypes, but I think the reason that works is that people were a lot more stereotypable back then because of subcultures and everything in a way that doesn't really exist anymore. I don't even know where I'm going with this. You just like unlock something in my brain. This might take me days to really process. We'll reconvene at a later date. Recording? No, I'm kidding. What is culture? Rein, what is culture? You haven't said something in a while. I want you to.
Yeah, I'm bad at knowing when to interject myself in a conversation. But what I was gonna say was, I say this half kidding, half serious. We keep saying like, oh, this movie hasn't aged well in this way. This movie hasn't aged well in that way. It might start aging. It might. Like if you did a graph,
Actually, the pendulum might be swinging the other way.
Yeah, it was aging. It was great in the 80s. Now it's been gradually getting more and more dated. Now it might be starting to swing back up a bit because hey, that Andrew Tate, he'd be down for what Bender's saying. A lot of these comments, he'd be like, hey man,
kids nowadays, so many young boys nowadays. I'm so happy that I apparently became an adult right before Nazis really took over the internet. Because it's so fucking, like, the alt-right pipeline is so fucking insane. And it's not just men. Women have their own alt-right pipeline with this fucking, like, trad wife culture shit that is also problematic. And it ties into the men, fucking Andrew Tate shit, the subservience, something, I'm a feminist, something. That's kind of sarcastic. I just don't have the words to describe what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah. I think there's something to also be said about, like, how much, like, okay, I'm getting off topic. I was going to, like, rant about, like, the Amber Heard stuff, like, how much of that hatred was, like, generated by women.
Amber Heard. Oh, you know what? How about Amber Heard shit? How about that? You know what I fucking saw out of South by Southwest the other day? Blake Lively's new movie, Another Simple Favor. Yeah. There was some woman that was standing outside with, like, Justin Baldoni innocent. And it was a woman. It was women. Yeah. Johnny Depp's defenders were largely women.
Yeah. But
not
anyway,
the point of the Breakfast Club, but just
point is, hey, it's this speaking of politics, I wanted to when I was watching this, I couldn't the thought couldn't escape my mind. I think in the 2024 election, all of them except for Brian and Allison voted for Trump. I think Brian and Allison voted for Biden, but I think Bender,
Kamala,
wow, that's embarrassing.
Listen, Jack, how do I open PDF?
On one hand, that was sexist, but on the other hand, it's like, it wasn't that. I mean, come on. They're
kind of the same.
She went out of her way to tie herself to Biden as closely as she could. So like, only a little.
So you think you think John Bender voted for Trump? Because I'm inclined to agree, but I want to know why.
No, John Bender voted for Kennedy, and he wasn't aware he dropped out. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, no, well... I mean, so, I don't know. It's very frustrating as someone, who grew up working class. I don't know. Looking at the stats of the last election, well, I guess, like, you can argue a lot of it's not factoring enough, like, people who just didn't vote at all. But when you look at the people who voted, like, Trump was sadly, like, to a large degree the vote of the working class, much doubly so if you're just looking at white working class people. So it's always
white working class people.
Oh yeah, there's a lot you can, but like, if you're looking at the stats, it's like generally someone in Bender's upbringing. I mean, he's working class coded, I guess. He and also with how he treats women and stuff, he definitely is like the archetype of like someone who goes, oh, I was a plumber. Yeah, sure, I like my union. I like some of that stuff that Bernie Sanders says, but these immigrants, man, and also stop trying to cancel me. Just stuff like that. What's all this bathroom stuff? Oh, why I can't make jokes anymore?
I can't talk to women anymore.
Yeah,
You can't shove your face into an unconsenting woman's upskirt.
What the fuck?
Anymore?
Back in my day, they just lightly crushed my face, and I was actually kind of into that. Nowadays, I get reported to HR.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely a reality where he's very much the opposite. But chances are, if I had to bet if this fictional character, if they were a real person, where they would have ended up in 2024, I think they would have voted Trump.
I agree. Brian is very male feminist coded positive. There's male feminist derogatory, male feminist positive. I think Brian is male feminist positive coded. Allison reminds me of a lot of women of that age that I know, and they are all universally Democrats. Claire?
Could go either way.
She might have voted for Kamala because she reads as someone that would grow up to be a wine mom. And boy, are the wine moms 100% in the Democrats camp right now.
I've met enough. It could go either way. It's not as
It could go either way, but
I've met enough that are it's like, oh yeah, sure, I support women's right to choose, but immigrants. So.
I know Claire reads to me as the type of person to have that in this household yard signs in her front yard. We're going to talk about the politics of who voted. I think something interesting to point out is that Donald Trump, when it comes to generations, he only won one generation technically.
Yeah.
And that was Gen X.
Yep.
Gen X was the only generation that majority voted Republican. And people always don't believe me when I say that. They go, what about the baby boomers? The baby boomers were actually the Democrats' strongest generation.
Yep. Well, actually, I thought millennials were higher.
Boomers were like a point higher in the polls I was looking at.
Doesn't it kind of, and I'm accepting that they're Trump supporters, the Breakfast Club are predominantly Trump supporters, as canon in my mind, but
no, we all agree.
Doesn't that make it all the sadder that they're like, what if we end up like our parents? And then it's like, they're supporting like worse Reaganomics, like.
Yeah.
They're literally supporting like, what if Reaganomics but tariffs?
Yeah.
For some fucking reason. Oh my god! Did you see the thing today where like Trump in the morning said 50% tariffs on Canada tomorrow, and then his Commerce Secretary like 3 hours said there will not be 50% tariffs tomorrow. No wonder the fucking market is in free fall, even though that's all fake money anyway. What we're talking about the Breakfast Club, right?
The Breakfast Club.
The Breakfast Club. Oh my god! You know what's so funny? I thought going into this, the general discussion questions would be, do you think they stayed friends on Monday? What do you think they grew up to do?
No.
And honestly, I think Claire was 100% right. I could maybe actually see, I could see Brian being friendly with Andy still. Honestly, I could see that maybe. I could also see Brian and Allison being friendly still. I do not see Claire ever acknowledging Bender existed, which is so funny considering
they make eye contact in the hallway.
She has his earring. She has his earring, or he has her earring. Sorry, I got it backwards.
Yeah.
It'll be like, hey, Claire, what happened to your earring? Oh, Mom's funeral.
I don't believe that either. I feel like most of them give an awkward, like white people smile.
Yeah.
And
the little white people like jog across the street.
Yeah. And like that's it. I do think maybe I don't buy any of the romantic relationships in this film even remotely.
No, it's 100% hormonal bullshit, and my love of that movie is me viewing it through. These are hormonal teenagers. They're gonna forget they were attracted to each other in 2 days.
Yeah, and if Claire tries to stay, she'll have her fucking heart broken by him in like 2 seconds flat. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm yapping.
Well, that's the podcast, isn't it? To yap.
I think it's impressive how we went this far without discussing, like, whenever anyone discusses this movie nowadays, rightfully so, is like how fucked up it is. Allison's makeover. Like, I feel like.
Oh my god! It's even when I watched it as a teenager, when I was in prime, overlooking the problematic aspects, not really acknowledging that. Even then, when the makeover happened, I kind of. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. When I was 15 years old, my first thought was I thought she looked better before.
Yeah, it's bad on every level.
Also,
even
misogynistic thought. Arguably misogynistic thought process is I thought she looked better before. But secondly, I'm like, she doesn't look as happy to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just me projecting or what.
Yeah, no, it's bad on every level. It's bad on, like, you know, thematically. But even if you ignore the thematics, and like what you're saying, if you think of with dumb guy brands, like, this is a way worse outfit, girl. What are you doing?
Yeah, she do not got that shit on. Let's be honest. Every character in this movie got that shit on, though. The outfits are impeccable. If you ask me,
it's true. Yeah, even Brian's simple get up, you know, it's nicer looking than.
It's simple, but it works. The jeans and the sweater with the the undershirt.
I wish jeans in general, but like especially like men's jeans, like I wish they were still like cut like that. Like I feel like the pants, the way they were fit and everything just was very.
Well, clothes were just made better back then.
Just very chic, very effortlessly nice looking.
Yep.
And very, you know.
Oh yeah.
It is very representative of the time. But
if this would have been made when we were in high school, Brian would have been wearing like a Minecraft shirt and cargo shorts.
No, Brian 100% is wearing the cargo shirts with the Legend of Zelda green T-shirt. That's what Brian's wearing.
And the sweatbands and the green Triforce sweatbands.
Bender, funnily enough, looks the same. If this movie was made today, that outfit is actually probably the most timeless. Is his outfit?
Yeah.
When Rein pulled up wearing that outfit at the beginning, it took me a second to register he was wearing a costume.
That's true. I don't know if I worn that exact combination, but I've definitely worn I tend to wear.
I've 100% done the jean jacket over the flannel before. I know I've
done.
It's
classic. Yeah, that's well, I'm down to keep talking about their political implications, but I'm probably running out of steam when it comes to talking about the actual movie.
No, I got a lot of stuff I want to say. Like,
I got nowhere to be. I'm not.
You know, you said something like earlier, Sydney. You said earlier about how like there are scenes in this movie that where the characters just breathe. I think Joseph, who was supposed to be on the podcast today, but unfortunately couldn't make it because they projectionist emergency, and he's only one of 2 trained projectionists at the Alamo.
Damn.
So he couldn't make it today. He's in heaven. No. He brought up earlier about how apparently the studio, if they made this movie today, or apparently back then, I don't know, there was a studio note. He either said it as a hypothetical today or something that actually happened back then, which was cut the dancing. And I can't imagine this scene without the dancing scene.
I mean, it's one of like the 5 most
that'd be crazy to me. It's like, when you tell people, tell me a scene of The Breakfast Club, you know what they're going to tell you? They're going to tell you the dancing scene.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking
the
iconic.
In the hallway.
No, literally that too.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the movie. There was a funny moment when Mr. Vernon's character brought up being like, I make $31,000 a year.
Yep,
and when I first heard that, my thought was like, damn, man, I'm sorry. No wonder you're a dick to these kids. And then I went, wait a second. That was 1985. So I went to my favorite website in the world, which is the inflation calculator, and I typed in 31.
Literally was pulling it up on my phone right now.
I saw you looking down. I was like, I bet you Sydney's doing it right now. And I typed in $31,000 in 1985. Guys, that is $93,000 in today's money. That guy is making good fucking money, and he's an absolute asshole to these children.
I make quite a bit more than him, and yet I'm not going to own a home.
Like, he's just an absolute asshole to those kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's making that kind of money.
Yeah. I will say, I completely forgot about the janitor character. Like,
you always do. I always remember this movie being the kids and the adult, and then the janitor shows up for multiple scenes. I always forget that.
Yeah. It's small part of the movie, but a nice touch. Cool janitor. That's a always reliable trope for high school shit, or I guess doctor shit with scrubs.
The more I think about it, the more I'm 100% convinced that Brian would vote Democrat today. I remember now when they talked about, like, why do you have a fake ID? So I can vote. This is what the Republicans should be worried about. High schoolers making fake IDs to vote. That's why we need national voter ID laws.
I think that joke got me better than, like that made me laugh harder than any of the other jokes.
And it's such a throwaway line.
Yeah.
They do not linger on it at all, and it just hit me in the gut like, holy shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
I like the movie. All right, this is usually I can bring up some fun trivia.
Go
There's
ahead.
actually a lot of interesting trivia in terms of
lay it on me.
different casting. For example, apparently Molly Ringwald was originally offered the part of Allison,
Oh,
not Claire, the other girl. But she eventually convinced the studio to let her play Claire, which was Kathy in the first version of the script. But that's after here's some actresses that auditioned for Claire. Robin Wright, Jodie Foster, Diane Lane, and Laura Dern.
wow.
Well, Diane Lane actually makes a lot of sense for
100%.
Claire. I mean, she literally played a variation of that character in The Outsiders, which was the year prior, I think, or 2 years prior. Like, and they even called Claire Cherry in this film, and I even had a Diane Lane vision because her character's name is Cherry in The Outsiders. And
I like to
so
imagine
that
when anyone
makes
says
sense.
Cherry, you just see Diane Lane in your peripheral.
yeah, just
Laura Dern, definitely.
she's right behind me, isn't she? but Jodie Foster as Allison, I would see before Jodie Foster as Claire.
Yeah.
She's a certain alternative je ne sais quoi.
Laura Dern as Claire seems
Honestly,
very fitting, though.
Agreed.
Emilio Estevez wasn't originally Andy. He was cast in this movie to play Bender originally.
That definitely could work.
But then,
Yeah, I could see that.
Hughes couldn't find anyone to play Andy, so he cast Estevez as Andy and auditioned some other actors for Bender instead. The last person that auditioned for Bender, Nicolas Cage,
That would have been great.
would have been great. Nicolas Cage has also always looked at least 35, so I don't know if it would have worked.
Yeah. Even in Fast
But so does
Times.
Judd Nelson.
That's fair.
Also, I initially was like, oh, he'd be great, but I don't know if he'd gel well with the rest of the cast. Like his energy, I don't think that would. I don't know.
I can't imagine him at the same time. I don't know if with this only because of Cage's modern memeism. I don't know if the movie would work as well for me if he went, you're a no good. It's like Cage voice. Nicolas Cage saying the R word, I think would break my brain. I'm gonna be honest. If I heard him say the R word, it would break my brain.
I'm sure he said it somewhere.
I'm sure somewhere, and I can never find. Sydney's googling Nicolas Cage R word question mark.
Gotta see what comes up.
Emilio Estevez as Bender, I think, could have possibly worked, but I still feel like he was already kind of a household name as mostly kind of a
all American.
he seemed more like an all American type of guy, and he was blonde, which whatever people.
It would have been his character.
I can't imagine Bender being blonde. I know that's weird. I cannot imagine him being blonde.
No, and I could see Emilio Estevez's brother Charlie Sheen playing.
I could see
Bender
Charlie
before,
Sheen playing every character.
I mean,
movie, honestly.
but Amelia, he played a pretty similar character in Repo Man, so I mean, wouldn't be that crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was later. That's when weird people were allowed to be blonde again by then.
It's true.
I do think it's a lot of it is just how he was perceived at the time.
Yeah.
By the Brat Pack fans, that might have been harder. I also would have chosen to go back to The Outsiders. I would have chosen Matt Dillon as a potential option to play Bender, because he had that darkness, but he was very charming. But also, I just thought of him because of Diane Lane in The Outsiders too. So
honestly, it's really funny they talk about how I can't find anyone to play Andy. Half of The Outsiders could probably play Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them probably would have.
It's so weird.
Tom Cruise.
Back to Bender real quick, though. Judd Nelson was, of course, eventually cast. But did you know that he apparently originally cast someone else and then changed it to Judd Nelson right before shooting began? Originally, John Bender was played by none other than John Cusack. And that is such a really different movie.
I do love John Cusack.
I also love John Cusack. However, if I see John Cusack in high school in the same sentence, my brain immediately pictures someone holding a boombox outside of a house. So, but it's hard to imagine anyone else playing these characters. I know it's fun to talk about the hypotheticals, but then if I mentally put another one of these actors in the movie, all of a sudden it's like, but that's not Breakfast Club anymore now.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's just because of how iconic it is in my mind.
It is, but you're not wrong at the same time.
Also, Anthony Michael Hall was the first person to be cast. He was originally offered Brian. There was no other option. There's no fun alternate casting for him.
Was he in SNL by this point? Or I forget if he was...
Anthony Michael Hall was on SNL.
Yeah, he was like the
Wasn't
youngest...
he like the youngest person ever?
Yeah, he was still a teenager when he's the youngest person to ever be on SNL, like as a cast
Is this a bit?
Nope.
In the cast, yeah.
Oh, wow. I look really stupid right now. I didn't know that.
I don't think it's like common knowledge.
And then he dated Trisha Paytas. Trisha Paytas, he dated her later on.
Yeah.
If you know her. YouTube icon. Anthony Michael Hall dated Trisha Paytas.
No, you're fucking with me. That's a joke, right? You're
How would
fucking
I
with
have
me.
come up with that? No,
Yeah, how
I'm not.
That's like something I have to believe in. Who would lie about that?
I wish my brain could come up with something like that.
That is like, it's one of those things where like life is so artistic and incredible that you go, I wish I could come up with something as funny as that. Donald Trump every other day says something so fucking funny that I immediately go, God, I wish I wrote that.
Yeah.
And then I remember he's running the country and I start booking.
I'm sending a picture of Trisha Paytas and
Yeah,
Anthony Michael Hall.
I'm pulling up the Facebook for this shit. What the fuck? Is this problematic? How young is she in this photo? How old
I'm
is
sure
he?
she was young. She's lived
This
many
doesn't
lives.
feel correct. Is Anthony Michael Hall canceled? Question mark.
Apparently he's a dick. Not like a... I don't know if he's done like monstrous things, but apparently he's a dick.
She was apparently 18 when she was in a relationship with Anthony Michael Hall.
She was famous at 18? How long has Trisha Paytas been famous?
Since 18, I would
I
guess.
don't like that I know of.
She would have been great as Claire.
You know what? Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
You know what? Yeah.
Even the janitor had alternate casting. Originally, the janitor was played by none other than Rick Moranis.
Oh, yeah. That'd be nice.
He was recast because apparently his interpretation of the janitor was an over-the-top Russian caricature, and John Hughes went, this is too silly for this movie.
That's fair.
It's kind of a small role for Rick Moranis to.
It is. In 85, he would have been
straight.
like,
yeah.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids would have come out by this point. No, that maybe was late 80s.
When
I
did
mean,
Hotel
Ghostbusters
Horrors
would have
come
been out by now. I'm pretty sure, right?
Oh, yeah. Google.com, when did Rick Moranis become famous? Ghostbusters was the year before. Wow. Shop of Horrors was the year after The Breakfast Club.
Oh, wow.
Weird. Wow. I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah.
We're learning so much.
Any other trivia? Or...
Well, I can actually go to the IMDb trivia page. You know what I actually found out yesterday? The high school they filmed this in is a fucking cop station. The building still exists. It's a cops HQ. It's like Illinois State Police HQ or some shit.
I'm
so disappointing. You know, the high school is designed with brutalist architecture in mind.
Yeah.
Sydney's guest appearance was the brutalist. I'm starting to notice a trend, Sydney. Are you secretly a brutalist architecture superfan?
Yeah, absolutely. my favorite type of architecture, and I have many. So.
What else? I have some other fun trivia here. Apparently, the fake ID joke was improvised because John Hughes encouraged the actors to improvise.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that was improvised.
Damn.
It was Judd Nelson's idea to do the fist pump at the end, which is so crazy considering how iconic that is.
Yeah.
So iconic. I should have brought this up earlier, Rein. The first ever piece of Bomb Squad content filmed, which was the Bomb Squad Goes to Family video, which released on... We ended that video doing a Breakfast Club bit. We raised our fists in the air while Don't You Forget About Me was playing.
I forgot about that.
I forgot about that.
Oh, wow. What a special episode.
The Bomb Squad podcast productions has been the Breakfast Club all along. I'm just literally just scrolling through the IMDb to see if there's anything funny.
I would ask what Breakfast Club character we would all be, but I feel like every Bomb Squad person would just be some combination of Brian and Allison. Maybe.
The good ones, you mean? The ones that did not vote for Trump? I mean, realistically speaking, I'm probably Brian. Here's a fun question. Who is more likely in the 2000s of these characters to become a school shooter? Brian or Bender?
I would think Bender. Brian
I
doesn't
think so
seem...
too.
I feel like Bender would, but not in the same way as Brian.
Bender would be
Bender would do it to make a statement.
Bender would be a school shooter in the Columbine way. Brian would be a school shooter in the severe depression way.
I think the most he would do is like the in that one Pearl Jam song story they referenced. Where,
Better Man?
Yeah, better where he
Jeremy?
Where he would off Jeremy, I mean, sorry. I've been listening to
I
Pearl
said
Jam.
Better Man just to fuck with him and he just ran with it.
I haven't heard Pearl Jam in so long that I was like, yeah, whatever song Tanner's saying is probably the song I'm thinking of. But where he doesn't seem like he wants to hurt people. Like he wouldn't be interested in hurting people, unlike Bender. I would not discount that possibility with him. So I don't know.
No, I agree. Yeah, because Jeremy is about a song about a kid who shoots himself in front of his English class, and that's why I was referencing Tanner. I'm
literally Googling the lyrics to Jeremy by Pearl Jam because I did not fucking know that. You listen, in my defense, this is what every Pearl Jam song sounds like. You think those aren't fucking words? He's speaking with marbles in his mouth.
Yeah.
I like Pearl Jam.
Jeremy spoken. But I didn't expect us to talk about which Breakfast Club characters would become school shooters.
This is what you should expect being a part of Bomb Squad Productions.
But you know, this movie has been talked to death, so we
have to find new topics.
Come up with a new angle for this.
Which would have the biggest TikTok profile?
Claire.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of a gimme, isn't it?
I don't know. I think Allison...
maybe Allison could have a quirky one.
I think Allison would have.
Brian would have like he'd be the biggest math rock TikToker. That would be Brian's thing.
He'd be like, or something.
Claire would be like fashion. Sorry, Rein.
No, Claire would be totally like modeled, I think, in the Addison Rae.
Yeah.
What the fuck are those sisters? Or are the sisters Addison Rae?
The D'Amelios.
Those ones. And then there's... I don't really use TikTok, sorry. I'm talking out of my depth here. I use TikTok. I'll really aggressively use TikTok for 3 weeks and then I won't open it for 9 months. When they banned it from the App Store, that didn't affect me. I had already uninstalled it from my phone 3 months prior.
I think Andrew would be by far the least.
I don't get on it anymore. I just kind of stopped.
I think Andrew would be by far the least popular TikToker.
He'd be too busy wrestling for the TikTok. But then, when he went into college, there'd be, weird fan edits of him, and, just the greatest beast ever known.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he would be the type of TikToker that would have, one really, really, really viral TikTok that was, a funny video of him and his boys, him and his bros. And then he'd be forever, chasing the high of that and trying to get another viral TikTok.
Oh,
and
you know what, though? I could totally see Andy as the content thief type. Now that you say that, I could totally see him just recreating other people's TikToks beat for beat.
Or just being one of those...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you guys know that Jason Derulo was doing that?
I'm
For like a
not
long
shocked.
time on his YouTube channel, he would upload shorts of him just like in the corner going, well, someone else's
Yeah, he
TikTok
would just
played.
be in the lower corner, like,
And it wouldn't even be like fresh, like someone like caught him. I think it was like, I don't know what YouTuber it might have been. I think it was Dana Gonzalez. I watched that pointed this out. That said that he was just like doing the same like on multiple videos. Like he didn't even film a unique one for each one. Jason Derulo, yes, that one. The guy that wrote that pop song you thought was kind of catchy but forgot about is now doing reaction content on YouTube Shorts. What movie are we talking about again?
Cats 2019, starring Jason
Talk about
Derulo.
Cats. Okay, you know what? Speaking of Jason Derulo and Cats, Jason Derulo is the best part of that movie.
No.
I was expecting more support.
No. What's his face is?
Idris Elba?
Yeah.
I guess.
There's no contest there.
You know, speaking of Cats, just let it be known that I broke the butthole story on my college radio show months before it became a viral sensation. I was talking about the butthole cut the weekend the movie came out on my college show. I wish I had the fucking recording of it so I could prove it, but that happened. I swear to God that happened. I knew someone that worked on the VFX team of Cats.
Good for you.
I don't know that someone anymore, but...
Wow.
Okay, I think that's a... Tim's gonna kill me if I keep this going.
Yeah.
I think, because I'm just talking about... He's gonna be like, why are they talking about cats?
Because we all know Bender would be the Rum Tum Tugger. No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to connect this back to Breakfast.
No, okay, so if you Cats, then Jason Derulo, and Jason Derulo, pop star, Simple Minds, big hit. Don't you
Right.
forget about me. Jason Derulo will cover Don't You Forget About Me in the
Don't
Breakfast Club remake in 10 years.
Don't give him ideas.
I hope so.
God, you know what? What could they? I know we talked about you couldn't make a movie today, but you could totally remake the Breakfast Club for the modern day. How dog shit of a movie would that be, though? Like, oh my God. It'd be like unwatchable, right?
It could be good, but
Would it be though? No.
It has the potential. Like, there's not like inherently, it's not because it's such a simple premise. Like I was saying earlier, it's the sort of remake that could hypothetically lend itself well to a update. But yeah, nine times out of 10, it getting remade is going to be dog shit.
I think it can't be a direct remake. I think it has to be a thematic remake of.
Yeah.
Like,
You're talking about like
maybe a
modern
similar
kids'
concept.
problems. What are like
But,
modern
yeah.
problems kids have? You know, I think drugs are a really big problem, both addiction, and I think a lot of kids are like drug dealers now. I think a lot of kids
Phone
are
addiction.
sexualizing themselves younger than ever. Phone addiction and ever. Fat phobia, that's a really big thing.
Worry about climate change. Worry about
And it could be in a high school. It could be in a high school in like California or something. And Samuel Levinson could be the showrunner. And I've just remade Euphoria, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you're right.
Euphoria any good, Rein? Tell me. You're the only person I know who's watched Euphoria, I think. Sure.
I've only seen season 1, and I was extremely high every episode I watched. It is a very good looking. It's a very well shot show. That's all I can really say with confidence.
Would you rather have a Breakfast Club remake or the Breakfast Club 2?
I guess the Breakfast Club 2.
Gun to your head, you have to pick one.
2. That I guess if this is our version of like final thoughts, then my final thoughts is I would rather watch Breakfast Club 2. I think that has more potential to be interesting. It's just as likely to be terrible, but it's probably more likely to be interesting.
Send a gun to your head. Okay, yeah.
Oh, gun to my head? I have a prop gun.
You pull it out. There we go. That's fine.
I had to preface people. It's a prop gun. It's not.
It's
real.
a prop gun. It's not real. YouTube, please do
It's
not
not real.
demonetize the channel.
It's real. It's not real. It's not real.
If you don't give this video a like,
but
if you don't give this video a like,
this is from Johnny Brox.
If you don't give this video a like, we will shoot Sidney Russell.
just like the.
It's like that fucking. Have you seen those old memes where it's like, if you don't like this Facebook post, we'll shoot this dog, and then it's just a photo of someone pointing a gun at a
Well,
dog.
speaking of John Hughes, I was thinking of the National Lampoon cover. Where's the dog? Never mind.
Were you saying Breakfast Club 2, Sydney? I'm sorry. We got so caught up on putting a gun to your head for some reason. I don't know why we're so violent.
I would also say Breakfast Club 2 because I think that there is a lot of potential for it to be really, like, I mean, if there was a Breakfast Club 2, it would be absolute just shit from a butt. Like, I don't
be
think
horrible.
there'd be any redeeming.
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be any redeeming qualities realistically, but I think there is a world where it could actually be pretty insightful, like, interesting, and be like, this is what elder Gen Xers are like now. Maybe they miss high school so much that they like want to go back to it.
I mean, considering how much every fucking piece of media on TV is just, wow, remember the 80s? I think it is very clear that Gen Xers miss high school a lot.
Yeah, and if we, like, we're gonna make it. If
I bought the rights. Sydney, we're making it.
Bomb Squad Productions, let's go. If we can make the hypothetical filmmakers could make a commentary on why everyone is so stuck in this time period, both Gen Z and millennials and Gen Xers who are so nostalgic for something that many never even lived, I think there would be a kernel of a good idea there, using these same characters. Just, you know, like if Bender was like a fucking clean-cut Trump supporter or something, like, that'd be an interesting commentary on, like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, how did he get to this point? How did Gen X get to where they are now?
How do we go from, if you Gen X, where the thing in Gen X was, if you're a sellout, you should kill yourself, all the way to go billionaire, go. How did we get from point A to point B is fucking fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
I also think it's worth mentioning that John Hughes, before he died, was considering making his next film, The Breakfast Club 2.
Oh, really? Damn.
Because he thought having those characters reunite in, like, 08, 09 would have been interesting.
Yeah.
When it would have been, the 25th anniversary. Now we're talking about this movie's 40 years old. This movie's, like, 15 years older than this.
Yeah.
Am I young? Instead of, am I old? It's, am I young?
Hey,
tell myself that
this recording,
hair is
this recording has come full circle.
You've
had a character.
It's all about
how many podcasts.
Guys, the truth is that I'm insecure about my gray hair. That's what this whole episode.
No, you're not anymore because of your character arc you've had. This
I have episode. A character. Okay, we can do real final thoughts now and spare poor Tim. Rein, final thoughts.
A classic that is interesting to talk around. But it's so classic that it's a little hard to just directly talk about, I guess. But I like it. I still like it.
Sydney, final thoughts.
I'll reiterate what I said before, in that I think it is, while it's not a movie that I will routinely look back on and rewatch and recommend to people, it's a perfect example of what it is trying to be. Like, it sets out to do a specific thing and it does it. I miss a lot of how scenes were blocked out and how things were shot of this time. It just, it makes a simple, predominantly white background library setting look nice and look inviting, and it just movies. Another reason why The Breakfast Club 2 Electric Boogaloo wouldn't work is because it wouldn't look like that.
It would look like it was shot in S-Log and they forgot to color correct it, like half the fucking movies do nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So while I don't think that this film, on a personal level, to me, I don't think this film is necessarily successful in all the things it sets out to do, like being antithetical to its own point by making Allison de-gothified. For example, just it's very time capsule in that way of, like, she's assimilating.
Look, she's hot now.
Yeah, like, she's assimilating to make everyone else more comfortable, ?
Yeah.
But that being said, it's like, this movie, it means a lot to a lot of people in a mostly positive way. And I would never be thinking that anyone is stupid or wrong to like it. There's a reason why it's popular. It's one of those things where it's like, I completely get it. Even if it's not something that even if the harshness and the meanness of a lot of it really is jarring to me, I think it is a good thing to look at and see what life was kind of like, because it seems so different, but also kind of similar to how we live now. Like, it seems like a completely different time, but also like some familiarity there as well.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Something. That's a thing I love about these high school girls. I keep getting older and they just stay the same age. Problematic? No. I love The Breakfast Club, and I do think I'm stupid for loving. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love The Breakfast Club mostly because I can never untangle it from the period of my life in which I watched it, which was as a very depressed 15-year-old that went through the feelings that all teenagers go. I'm alone in the world and nobody understands my problems. And The Breakfast Club just really tapped into that, and also I think, in a way, helped me realize how stupid that thinking was when I was 15. And because of that, I'm always going to love it. It's always going to be one of my all-time favorite movies. I have it on my Letterboxd list, all-time favorite movies. I'm always going to love it. Even though, again, it's aged weirdly. Again, every time Bender says the R word in this movie, I feel like a fucking concussive grenade just went off because I go, oh, I forgot about that! But, you know who I won't forget when they say the R word? So bad. You! I'm sorry. That's maybe my worst one ever. The person watching / listening to this episode of Bomb Squad Matinee. If you are listening on any of the audio platforms we're on, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. How about you leave us a review? It helps boost us in the algorithm or something. I don't know. I just work here. If you are listening, how about you mosey on down over to our Patreon, where the $5 tier gets you access to commentary tracks. We have one on Daredevil releasing here very soon. Just released one for Swiss Army Man, so that should be fun. So stay tuned for that. And if you donate to the $10 tier, you get a shout out. So, special shout out to my mom, Tanya Kraft, famous member of Gen X. Mom, I love you. Everything I said about Gen X does not apply to you. Thank you so much for contributing to Bomb Squad. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you oh so very much for watching. We really appreciate it. Push your mosey on down over to the comment section below and let me know. What do you think of The Breakfast Club? What's your favorite member of The Breakfast Club, or what character do you identify the most with? What do you think about the parts that aged in this movie? And finally, Bender or Brian? Who's the school shooter? Comment below and let me know. And while you're down there, hit the like button so you know how much you like us. Hit the subscribe button so you know how much you love us. Hit the bell icon to know exactly when we upload new videos. Thank you oh so very much for watching. Tune in next time when we talk about Bong Joon-ho's newest movie, Mickey 17. A movie that is completely uncontroversial in people's enjoyment of it, I swear. So that should be a lot of fun. Seems like half the fucking team wants to be on that one, so stay tuned for that. We'll see you then. Bye!
Just slid my ticket across the table and I said, sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl.